Welcome back to a new video. So I'm actually recording this at noon on a Thursday. And no, I didn't play hooky from work. Actually, there was some power. I guess there were some storms or whatever in the area. And they were having power issues in the district, which caused us to have a 2-hour delay at first, which was very confusing when you're kind of in that groggy state when you wake up. So I thought, surely this is not correct because, it's not winter anymore, it's April. And then I had to reread it a couple times, and then about an hour after that, they sent us an additional one saying that the whole day was canceled. So I've had a very relaxing day. So it's been really nice to, relax, I guess. But that's why I'm able to record at noon on a Thursday. But still going to be training like normal today, and these are the last 3 training sessions. So this first training session I had was no foots and power cleans. Decided not to squat on this day. Tried a little bit, but pushed it back until the next day. And then tried to do push presses the next day. And those weren't feeling good because of the amount of squatting I did. So I pushed those on Wednesday. So a lot of somewhat procrastinating, but in somewhat logical ways. I think with the no foot snatches, I pushed a little bit too aggressively. I was trying to do doubles here with 100 and just wasn't really successful in the second rep of the doubles. I made the first rep on all the sets, which is usually something I don't do. If I'm failing reps, sometimes I'll miss the first rep, then make the second one or whatever. But at least if it is like truly, the weight is too heavy, it should be the second rep that is, the one you miss if you don't have trash technique, which I at least didn't have trash enough technique to be missing the first rep in addition to the second or instead of the second one. So not the best, not the worst. I didn't push up past 100. I actually stopped at 100. I ended on a single just so I could end on a make. It felt really good, but I knew that I wasn't really cooking with oil today, so I didn't really want to push up above that. Plus, I didn't want to, do anything to aggravate, knee or shoulder or anything. Was mostly thinking about my left knee, which feels pretty good at this point. A couple days after this session, after doing the no foot snatches. Like I mentioned, I did power cleans, or I don't know if I mentioned, but now I mentioned it. I did power cleans. I got up to a POW with 142. Kind of tried to do a power with 143. Just did a really good normal full clean. Tried to double 130. Did a rep with it. And then the second one I had to do a full rep. So power cleans are going well. In some sense, it's kind of cool that I can increase it, but I'm not really too worried about it. As I get closer to the competition, I probably won't really be pushing it crazy aggressively, but at least for the next 3 weeks, I'll probably continue to do sessions very similar to what you'll see here. For the most part, obviously, things can get moved around a little bit, but doing the variations that I have for another 3 weeks before I really get into that final prep. After doing the push presses, I didn't do anything. Like I said, I did a couple squats, I should say, just to see how my legs would feel, and they didn't feel great. It's kind of one of those things that, like, if I was like 2 weeks out of a competition, I could push through it and do it, but it's not really worth it now when I know I have the next day that I can push squats too, and I'm going to feel better and more recovered. And it was a similar philosophy with the push presses, to where I could have pushed through and dropped the weight and got the reps in if I was really having to do it on that day. But I was like, I can push it to the next day. They're going to feel a lot better, and I'm going to just move weight better. And it ended up being true for both the squats and the push presses. But for the squats that I did, I pushed up to 220, which was a pretty difficult single, but a good kind of like benchmark. I mean, 7 weeks out, so still was able to do it. I didn't, explode or anything. But then dropped down to do 3 sets of 10 at 150, which were pretty difficult actually. The cardio of it was extremely difficult, but the actual weight itself was actually not, let's say, stressing me out in the way that, in a muscular way. So that's, I'm glad in a sense, I'm doing it at this point. So probably, since that was the 3rd week and now I'm 7 weeks out, I'll continue progressing the squats up. So next week I'll probably do 3 sets of 8 and then 3 sets of 5 or something like that after some sort of fashion. Maybe another week of 10s will be good, and then I can drop it down like that. But definitely good to get some volume in, especially this at this point, and then start to kind of dissipate that as the weeks get closer and as the intensity necessitates to be increased as well. I did do this 120 power clean double, which I was really happy with, which is why I wanted to go up and try 130. I feel like 130 would have been a double as far as a power clean double, but I'm certainly, anytime I'm getting close to 140, it's definitely getting to difficult weights. Strangely enough, my best power clean ever is still 147, which I have only done once, and I haven't done anything more than 143 besides that one random day. So it's not even really a true PR, just a really random day that I was able to power clean really effectively. I would like to get back to do like 145, and obviously, at some point, maybe 150, but like I kind of mentioned before, it's not really like a huge priority lift for me to increase, but it's always good to have goals, even on variations that may or may not have the most value. But I'm kind of having the philosophy now that as I'm doing more of these powers, or at least, having them in my training, that they're probably not, the quote-unquote best for like a maximal clean for the current week, but in 5 or 6 weeks after doing this essentially speed work or lift that I'm kind of bad at, because I'm not really that good at power cleans. Especially, logically I should be able to do a power a lot more if I'm able to clean 176. And even if I say that I can clean 170 on a regular basis, like I've cleaned above it before, but like I clean 170 pretty routinely, or at least I can plan on doing it pretty routinely, and only being able to power usually like 140, 140, 142. It's about where I can be on a regular basis, and it has to be like a really good rep. Kind of just means that I'm not really built well for power cleans, for one, but also that the number is different. But a lot of that is, I think, because of the length of my legs, but also the mobility that I have in my legs. So I'm able to catch squats or cleans really deep in that front squat. So it makes it a bit easier for me to get under bigger weights. So I'll never be like have a good ratio of power cleans versus my regular clean. But I'd rather have more mobility. I'd rather be able to do more weight in the full clean than in the power clean. But after so this was the 220. And nothing really hurt on it, which is nice as well. So another good reason to stop over there. I also did on beltless, these 150s for 10. But yeah, the cardio on these were crazy difficult. But the day after was actually like 80 degrees. It had stormed a bunch, or rained a bunch, I should say. The storms, I guess, were last night, where they're really bad. But the shed was really humid when I was doing the push press and stuff, which felt really good actually. When it's like 95 degrees and really humid, then you just kind of sweat to death. But it was like that good kind of heat where you just feel like you're just warmed up right away. So I think that's one reason the push presses went well, which are a really good point. So in this session, you'll see with the blue Adidas shirt, I failed 115 for 2 singles, but I could tell that it was my legs that were the limiting factor. Like I felt like the bar felt good in my front rack. I felt like I was technically doing a good enough rep. I just didn't have enough oomph in my legs. And so when I did it again the next day, when I did the first 115 double, it kind of confirmed it, like, oh yeah, my legs were just fried. Like I didn't have anything left to push from. Because the 115 double felt really good. Good enough for me to want to push up to 125, which I've posted on Instagram as a short as well, so you might have already seen that. I did miss it twice prior to doing it, but it's weird because it's hard to describe it unless you do push presses and jerks and stuff. But when I was walking it out of the rack, the tightness or the strength that I felt just gave me a ton of confidence. And when you have that, it feels like you have 100% chance to do the push press. So on the first press or push press that I attempted, it was either the first or the second. I feel like on the first one, I pushed it forward. One of them I pushed forward, but another one, I guess technically I probably pushed them both forward. But on one of them, when I was walking it back, I had to cough, like right as I was thinking about doing the lift. And I think mentally that threw me off too, because it was like a really phlegmy cough. And it was just kind of odd because I was like, that's never happened to me before when I'm setting up for a lift where I have that. And when you're kind of in that front rack position, it's certainly not like a comfortable position to cough from. So that kind of messed me up a little bit. But on the third attempt, I was able to do it. It was really difficult, but I haven't push pressed 125 in a while. And doing it from the blocks, usually if I power clean a weight up, it makes the push press feel a little bit easier, but I'm getting better from the blocks in general. I don't actually know what my best push press without a power clean is. I feel like it's probably about this 125, or maybe it's only 120. But yeah, you see here, I took a little bit of time, but essentially it was like an attempt at 2 reps for like a double, and obviously missed them both. So I just came back the next day, felt really good. What's really interesting too is I can use the crash pads for push presses and anything in the front rack. I don't even feel like I'm close, or I've never felt like I bumped. And looking at it here, like it looks kind of close, but I'm not really dipping any further than that. But if I do feel like I'm gonna hit the, or if I do actually hit the crash pad, then I will have to abandon that. But what I could also do, because I'm looking at it here as well, is that top block, that smaller one. I could potentially take that off and just use the crash pad, because what is nice with the crash pad is obviously I can pick it back up and put it into the rack now, so I don't have to worry about putting the weights on and off. But the crash pad doesn't, I mean, obviously it protects the blocks themselves, but you can see they kind of don't jostle around, so you can kind of look to see how they're bouncing, or when I drop it on them with the crash pad versus when I do the behind the neck jerks. The difference of just how the blocks are moving around, which is a lot more convenient because they don't slide around as much. And obviously, on a long-term basis, it will be more protecting of them because they're tightened, so they're not going to last forever. And I have had to do many repairs of them, or at least workarounds with different things. But here is the 115, or that was the second rep. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. I feel like that one I just pushed forward a little bit. I don't know. No, my face kind of tells me I was coughing. Oh yeah, it was definitely the first one, because the second one I was super close on doing. I just pushed it forward. All right, so I coughed on the first one, pushed the second one forward, and here I was able to grind through it and get it up. In the back of my mind, I was hoping to do it for a double. I obviously knew after the first 2 misses that wasn't going to happen, but then I thought I had a pretty good chance of doing doubles here. And 120 for a double, I believe is... I feel like I've doubled 125, or like I've done something more than 120 for a double before, but it's kind of like one of those things that's like, even if you don't know like what your PR is, it's still a really good lift for the current time frame that you're in, because I haven't push pressed 120 for a double, or at least done it for 2 doubles essentially, because I tried to do it for a triple here, which I'm almost 99% sure would be a PR. So the push presses are feeling really good, and it's a similar thing with the 125 that like when I was taking it out of the rack and I was getting myself tight for the lift, it just felt really strong in that front rack, which is a super nice thing to feel, especially when you're doing jerks. And that's usually kind of the feeling I get in competitions. So anytime I get that in training, I know that like I'm ready to cook some weights up. And I was really hopeful I was going to be able to do a 3rd rep. And obviously the other benefit of doing reps from the blocks is I can just drop it on the blocks. I don't have to hold it there between reps. So that's definitely going to help me progress the push presses up a little bit more. And for me, just manning up and putting the blocks out is the biggest thing. I did do 70 before this, so I didn't go right to 110. I just forgot to record it. Went from 110, it felt really good, to 140. I pushed a little bit forward, but I was still pretty confident that I could take another jump, and just didn't have enough. I actually got it pretty well locked out, but just pushed it forward both times. The second one wasn't really close. The first one was a little bit closer. But the push presses definitely took some fatigue out of me. And then just ended the session with some really weird overhead presses. The first 2 reps on this first set, I was like pushing it super far forward and having to like walk forward with it. But that's something I think I will add on these days as well, is some overhead pressing. I haven't really been doing a lot of strict press because I've been doing a lot of push press. But I think on a session like this, it will just be a good thing to kind of have each week. And decided just to do them at 3 sets of 5. I wasn't really sure what the rep scheme was going to be. But once I did the first set, then I was like 5 is the good number for this weight. So might try to progress it up each week, or might just keep it around a similar weight. Knowing me, I'll try to max it out every single week because I'm a maniac. But just having it some extra pressing will be good, especially in this fashion. So just working on the shoulders themselves. But a couple of productive sessions. I'm extremely happy with the push presses, so that's always a really good sign for clean jerks, particularly for the jerk, if push presses are going well. And then obviously with the power clean, that was really encouraging as well, or at least the power clean. For me, I wasn't bouncing out of the bottom on that 142, so that was really good. It's the heaviest power clean I've done for a while. And yeah, just a couple of days, pushed a little too hard on the no foot snatch and stuff, but I'm trying to be more aggressive in general with jumps I'm taking, especially this is the 3rd week of the progression, so it kind of pays to be a little bit more aggressive with these weights since I'm going to be resetting them next week. Today is the block snatch and block clean and jerk day. I have no idea how they're going to feel because I just did the push press and all of that the day before, so normally I have a day off or a light day in between. So I don't know if that's going to impact me or if my legs are going to feel fresh. What I'm hoping is that everything feels great, as always. But my legs might feel really good, so I might be able to, push up on the doubles on the power. Like the block clean and jerks might go better than the snatches, but hope both go well, because at least now I feel pretty good, and it's a pretty relaxing day, obviously, not to have work, so I kind of have that working in my favor as well. But that's going to be it for this one. If you made it to this point, I appreciate it. I'll talk to you all in the next one. Peace.